Very good evening and welcome to this Sunday's edition of News First Weekend. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Well, before we start off tonight's bulletin, we at News First like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to all those who supported us in our Sirasa Shakti TV1 Sahanyatra program. Details of the Sahanyatra relief efforts are coming up later on in the bulletin. But before that, here's a look at tonight's headlines. 151 lives lost, 500,000 people affected. Sahanyatra aid convoys arrive in 5 districts. More rain forecast in the Central Hills tomorrow and day after. Low pressure system in the Bay of Bengal moves towards Bangladesh. Security forces battle to stabilize Baddegama Band on the Ging River. Second ship carrying aid from India docks in Colombo. Inclement weather continues to affect many parts of the island, and we are now joined by News First Shahin Jurangpathy with the details of the extreme weather. Shahin?
Well, thank you very much, Arundhati. Well, it has been a somber couple of days for Sri Lanka as incessant rains have affected almost the entire island, leaving more than 100 people dead, more than 100 people missing, several thousands displaced, and a couple of thousand people affected across the island. Well, given this context, Mathura was among the worst affected districts in the island following the week's downpours. This aerial footage of Mathura and surrounding areas was captured yesterday after the Nilwala River broke its banks. While floodwaters have begun to recede, this gave a fresh impetus today to the effort to rescue about 500 families who were trapped in Mathura, Valpola and Veragama. "36 of the rescuees were admitted to the Mathura General Hospital, while the rest were transported to the temporary shelter at the Veragam Pitya Viharya. Well, as you just saw on your screens, the devastation left by the incessant rains and how rescue operations are still underway days after the rains battered Sri Lanka. Now, several parts of the Galle district, including Baddegama and Udugama, were also affected by the heavy downfall. Floodwaters had completely changed the landscape in many parts of Galle this morning. Public officials and Tri-Forces personnel are battling against time to reinforce the bund at the Ging River scheme with sandbags after a leak sprung last night, threatening to inundate the Baddegama town. Minister Wajira Abewardena visited the scene this morning, where a proposal was made to demolish the Baddegama Old Bridge across the Ging River in order to hasten the receding of the water level. Newsfirst reported yesterday that garbage that has collected under the Wakwala Bridge on the Galle-Baddegama Road has created a block, causing floodwaters to stagnate. The Sri Lanka Navy Marine Battalion took steps to clear the garbage today. The Navy commander had seen the Sirasa News report about the bridge. Headquarters informed us to look into the matter immediately and clear any obstacles that was blocking the flow of water. The biggest challenge in clearing this is the continuous flowing of water. Snakes that have been washed away in the tide are now trying to move out of the water with the help of the branches here. Snakes and the tide are obstructing our progress, but we are determined to clear this place tonight. Well, those were of course scenes from the Galle. However, now while the Kaludara district received far less rainfall compared to the other districts in the country, the water levels of rivers in the district are continuing to rise rapidly. The Magurugaha area in Baduraliya was inundated this afternoon as the water level of the Kalu River rose rapidly. The Matugama-Colombo road was flooded in Dodangoda for the first time in 20 years, making the road impassable. Now moving further uphill of the country, the Ratnapura district suffered several landslides in addition to flooding. This aerial footage of the Ratnapura town and surrounding areas was captured yesterday. Floodwaters have stagnated in many areas, while our correspondents report that certain areas are under 8 to 10 feet of water. Rescue groups, including the Disaster Management Centre, Tri-Forces and police, continue the relief and rescue effort today. Patients at the Kalawana hospital, which was also inundated, were airlifted to the Ratnapura General Hospital today. Parts of the Gampaha district were also affected by heavy rainfall. The imminent threat of flooding in areas around the Kalani River has dissipated at present, but areas including Dompe, Mapitigama and Malwana are still inundated. The Biagama-Dompe road was submerged this afternoon. Well, those are scenes from across the country, how the floods have affected the Gaul, Gampaha, Ratnapura and several areas across the country. We now cross over back to the newsroom where Arundhati Mudannaike is standing by. Arundhati, it's back to you.
Thank you, Shaheen, for bringing us the details. The People's Channel's the Sirasa Shakti TV1 Sahanayatra aid convoys carrying much-needed relief items including dry rations and water donated by the general public left to their destinations in the 5 affected districts. At the moment, our relief teams are in the process of distributing the aid to affected people of several districts. Janahanda Mehuma is a relief effort undertaken by the Capital Maharaja Organisation with the donations of the general public.
In less than 48 hours since torrential monsoon rains wreaked havoc in the western and southern parts of the island, Sri Lankans from all walks of life united to donate much-needed relief aid for affected fellow citizens. Relief aid consisting of essentials that were collected at 3 locations were packed with the support of the people and loaded into lorries promptly.
It's in a time of crisis. I think the whole country should become one. So I'm really happy that Sirasa is actually helping us.
More people come and help us do this.
This is a good cause. We should help in a time of crisis.
We paid homage to the sacred relics which were here. We believe in you. Donations continued to pour in at the Capital Maharaja Organisation's head office at Breakbrook Place, Colombo till early morning. The staff of the Capital Maharaja Organisation launched the Sahanayatra following religious observances.
A heartfelt, sincere and grateful thank you to the general public who a little more than 24 hours ago responded immediately to our call for this relief operation to help those displaced people. Your generosity and kindness has been extraordinary. We would not have been able to undertake such an operation without your generosity.
Lorries carrying the aid donated by you reached affected people in Mathura, Ratnapura, Kalutara, Gaul and Colombo districts this afternoon. The teams moving towards Gaul and Mathura took the Gaul road, while teams heading to the affected areas in Ratnapura and Colombo districts reached their destinations via the high-level road.
The Sahanayatra team that reached Gaul district first distributed aid to the people of Badigama.
The teams that headed to Ratnapura district commenced the distribution of aid from Haliagoda.
Shakti TV1 Sahanayatra is currently underway, as you all know. Right now we are still in the Ratnapura district and it's raining here. We came to Ratnapura this afternoon and we divided our team into 3 different groups so that we can cover the entire city, entire district of Ratnapura. We have provided relief items that you donated to us within just 24 hours. Our plans are to take more relief items to the Angamana temple, which is close by. So stay tuned to News First. We'll bring you more updates as it happens. I'm Pavani Hakwara with the News First team from Ratnapura.
Since certain locations were inaccessible, boats had to be used to reach those locations.
For the latest from the team headed to the Mathura district, we are now joined by News First Krishan Devasagayam.
Team in the Kalutara district commenced their distribution from Palin the Nuara.
launched the Cirrus Shakti TV1 Sahanayatra, it was a promise that we made that your generous contribution will be delivered safely to those in need. So that is why we are carrying these parcels and going in search of people who are worst affected in the Kalkutta district. Now, according to the Grama Sevaka, he told us that Ilupati is one of the most affected areas in Kalkutta, which over 350 families affected in the area. So we were told that that area which you see far behind, there are around 15 people stranded in a hut. So we are in search of them and we are going to provide your relief to those people. For Newsfirst reporting from the Kalkutta district, I'm Joel Outschool.
Well, that was News First, Joel Outschool and Pavani Haparachi, bringing you the latest from the Sahanayatra relief efforts underway in the areas. Leader of the Janasetta Peramuna Battaramulle Silaratana Thera expressed the following views at a public meeting in Hambantota today.
We are very happy about the Sahanayatra program carried out by the Sirasa Media Network. Please donate as much aid as possible to the Sahanayatra because they will not be misused. Now, where does the money allocated for these disasters go? Where is this money? This is something that the government should do. I think the money will eventually end up in their pockets. They bring down Benz cars and Prados and the poor persons remain the same. The service rendered by Sahanayatra should have been done by the government by getting all media networks together.
At a media briefing convened at the Ministry of Disaster Management this evening, the government made an official announcement on the current situation in the country.
At present, 112,565 families have been displaced. In terms of individuals, 438,295 people have been displaced. 151 deaths have been reported. 111 people are missing. Thereby, about 262 people are either dead or missing. 95 people have been wounded. 250 homes have been destroyed, 1,785 homes have been damaged, 339 shelters have been established for the displaced, 24,735 families are being sheltered at these relief centres.
24,735ක් මේ ආරක්ෂිත ස්ථානවල අපේ සහන මධ්‍යස්ථානවල ඉන්නවා. මධ්‍යම බෙන්ගාල බොක්ක ප්‍රදේශයේ තියෙන පීඩනාවපාතය අපි හිතනවා තවදුරටත් වර්ධනය වෙලා සුලිකුණාටුවක් වෙලා.
We believe the depression over the center of the Bay of Bengal will grow into a cyclone and move north towards Bangladesh. This will cause a change in wind patterns in the country. If this happens, then we expect more rain tomorrow in the southwest of the island. This will lead to increased rainfall in the central and Sabragama provinces and the Gaul and Matra districts. We are forecasting showers of more than 100 millimeters. Similar showers could be experienced in the northwestern province too. Other parts of the island will also experience intermittent showers. Depending on the severity of the cyclone, wind speeds in Sri Lanka could increase to up to 80 kilometers an hour. The western slopes of the central hills will be worst affected by these winds. This will affect areas including Kegalle, Kurunagal and Nuwara. The wind speed, 2,000 feet above Trincomalee, has been recorded at 45 knots. This is about 90 kilometers an hour. So we must be cautious with the increased wind speed in sea areas and you should inform fisheries communities. But this will happen only if the change we are expecting occurs.
Professor of Geology at the University of Peradeniya, Atula Sinaratne, expressed these views on the sluggish dissemination of information to the public on landslides.
The conclusions arrived at by scientists after taking into consideration the available data and analyzing it is very important. Government organizations are implementing programs based on these conclusions. However, the public who invariably bear the brunt of it are not informed. That is what I have to say.
Newsfirst Shahin Jurangpathy is standing by to bring us more details from the extreme weather conditions affecting the island. Shahin?
Well, thank you very much, Arundhati. Well, the Early Warning Center of the Department of Meteorology says a change in the prevailing weather condition is expected with the movement of the depression, which is located in the Bay of Bengal, as you see here in this map, moving away from Sri Lanka and now moving towards Bangladesh. So I suppose that is some sort of good news for Sri Lanka, but not so much for Bangladesh. However, the Department of Meteorology does say that the movement of the depression towards Bangladesh from Sri Lanka will stir up some showers in the southwestern parts of Sri Lanka tomorrow and the day after. This will bring showers at times in the southwestern parts tomorrow and day after. Strong winds of about 80 km per hour can be expected over the country. These wind conditions are especially expected over the western slope of the Central Hills and surrounding sea areas. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the western, sub-Ragamu, southern, central and northwestern provinces. Heavy falls of over 100 millimeters are expected at some places. Taking a look at a city-by-city weather forecast, Colombo is expected to remain cloudy with temperatures of 30 degrees Celsius and a couple of heavy thunderstorms during the day. During the night, temperatures are expected to drop to 26 degrees with a couple of evening thunderstorms around, followed by a couple of soaking showers late. Gampa is expected to experience a couple of drenching thunderstorms. Cloudy, breezy in the afternoon tomorrow, while cloudy and breezy weather has been forecast during the night with a couple of evening thunderstorms around, followed by a passing shower late. Cloudy and breezy weather is expected in Galle during the day with a couple of morning thunderstorms around, followed by a shower in the afternoon. Temperatures are expected to drop to 27 degrees during the night with cloudy and showery weather conditions. In Ratnapura, heavy rains and thunderstorms are expected during the day with temperatures of 29 degrees, while the conditions are expected to remain the same during the night with temperatures dropping to 24 degrees. Kandy is expected to be humid tomorrow with a morning thunderstorm or two, followed by some rain and a thunderstorm in the afternoon, while plenty of clouds with occasional rain and a thunderstorm are expected in the night. Now for an international perspective, we hear from Greg Dewhurst, who is a meteorologist with the UK Met Office Global Guidance Unit.
Yes, as you mentioned, sort of a drier spell through the day today, but unfortunately it looks like we'll see an increased amount of rainfall as we go through the next few days. It looks like tomorrow and into Tuesday we could see further heavy rainfall, particularly across western and southwestern parts of the country. We could see in excess of around 50 to 100 millimeters of rainfall each day. So not as high as the rainfall totals that we've seen, but adding to the already bad situation with the localized flooding. However, as the week goes on, it looks like those rains will start to push further north away from Sri Lanka and over and into India. So it looks like we will start to see an improvement as we go through the second part of this week. But it looks like another few days to come of some very heavy rainfall, particularly in the west and southwest. Could still see further spells of rain. Then with the rain, the ground already saturated, we will have to keep a close eye on the rainfall amounts as we go through into next month. We are more hopeful as we go through the second part of this week. We will start to see some giant.
Well, that was, of course, Greg Dewhurst from the UK Met Office giving us an international perspective on the weather conditions in the region. Well, it's back to Arundhati Mudanayaka in the newsroom. Arundhati?
Thank you, Shaheen. Moving on to other local stories, a second naval vessel from India carrying emergency relief items and rescue teams arrived at the Colombo port this morning.
The Sri Lanka Navy ceremonially welcomed the Indian amphibious warfare vessel INS Shardul, as she called, at the Colombo port this morning. The vessel, carrying 127 sailors, including lifeguards, medical teams and divers, was commanded by Rohit Mishra.
We're extremely happy to come here. Welcome on behalf of INS Shardul.
Apart from personnel, INS Shardul also brought stocks of dry rations, bottles of drinking water, tents, inflatable lifeboats for emergency evacuations, medicines and other equipment required for disaster relief situations. The relief aid dispatched by India was officially handed over to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ravi Karunanayake, and the Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Taranjit Singh Sandhu, this evening. High-ranking naval officers, including Rear Admiral Niraja Atigala, Commander Western Naval Area, were also present.
It's an outstanding cooperation, and that's what neighbors are. Whenever in your house you have a problem, your neighbor comes to help you. You rest assured, whenever there is a problem here, and we pray to God there is never, and just as the Minister said, whenever there is a problem in India, we will expect the same from you. We will be always here, and our people will be here to help out till the time this issue is resolved. And our prayers are that it gets resolved very soon.
Meanwhile, the Navy said the Indian vessel Kit, which arrived in Sri Lanka yesterday with relief assistance, left the island this morning. INS Jalashwa, another amphibious warfare ship attached to the Indian Navy, is expected to arrive in Sri Lanka tomorrow with another stock of relief aid.
The following statement was made at a media briefing organised by the Collective of Citizens Organisations today.
We were informed by the media that 45 million rupees had been allocated. But we are sad to say that on the same day, we saw on the news that 3,450 million had been allocated to procure vehicles for ministers and to renovate their homes. Is this a country of heartless robots? Is this good governance? Immediately annul this supplementary estimate and take steps to recover the more than 5 billion rupees in revenue for the state that was deprived by these people when they violated the act and sold their vehicle permits.
We have more details of the Sahanayatra relief efforts undertaken by the Sirasa Shakti TV1, and we have details from Mathura right now.
Meanwhile, the team in Mathura split up to 4 teams and commenced the distribution of aid.
We are actually travelling over the expressway right now. Shivan, what do you have to say about this? I don't know what to say. The Nilwala gate is there, and that is where you usually enter from to get on the expressway to Colombo. We will have to make several trips because we can only carry a few cases of water on the boat. We are going to the Central College in the village where many people have taken shelter. We don't know what could happen. The boat may capsize. But I believe that all of us at the organization, from the chairman and senior management onwards to all the staff, have to do justice. But I believe that all of us at the organization, from the chairman and senior management onwards to all the staff, have to do justice to the faith the people placed in us.
We are now joined by Newsfirst Krishan Devsagaya with the details from the Gaul district.
We are currently in the village of Barakapitiya in the Dalipike Divisional Secretariat here in the district of Mathura. The Sirasa Shakti TV1 Sahanayatra is going on in full swing and it's past 9 PM here as I am speaking. But we can see hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people who were helped, who were rendered destitute by the terrible flood that lashed the country over the past few days, making their way to places like this temple where we are currently at to collect the packet of relief items that we have brought here through the Sirasa Shakti TV1 Sahanayatra.
We thank everyone who came forward to render their support to the Sirasa Shakti TV1 Sahanayatra in whichever way possible. We salute the security forces and the Sri Lanka police for the rescue operations that they are carrying out.
In their hour of greatest need, you came forward without hesitation to lend a helping hand, and we thank you for your generosity. You placed your trust in us with the faith that we would carry your contribution to the people in need. By truck, boat and foot, the Sahanayatra teams carefully delivered the much-needed aid to the people in the flood and landslide-stricken areas. We leave you tonight with several images from the areas where your aid was received. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.